Welcome to the Work Hard People's Podcast. Hope everybody's having a great day out there. We thank you so much for the likes and subscribes, all the comments. Please keep doing so. The channel's been doing really well lately. We really appreciate it. We are revisited by one of our previous guests, who is also a very good friend of mine. Also, a brand new member of the Savage crew. We got to say that, right? For raw supplements, which we may get into a little bit of what they're shooting today, but really we want to talk to Jesse Flowers today about he just did a show.
Right.
We're going to talk to him about that a little bit and find out what he's got going on in the future, and we'll dive into raw supplements a little bit. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me, brother.
That's my wave. Love it. But still to this day, man, I'm telling you right now, it's one of my favorite things. If I be scrolling through Instagram and I saw this, I was like, oh, okay. It's Jesse's dropping bombs. Let's listen.
And that all started by accident, right? Like it was just a happen to.
Yeah.
So and it stuck. But no, I had a friend that wanted to do a video at a gym, here in Hobbs, and we were talking about Forrest Gump and how my grandfather's name was Forrest Blunt, and I would always do the, ridiculous like little wave or something. I didn't know she was recording when I did it. And so we went through the video, and me and my buddy go through the demonstration, and the girl kept it on there. And I was like, if I can be remembered for something as stupid as this, rather than like drugs, alcohol, or any other crap that I've left behind in my life, I was like, I'll take it. I'll take it. Let's do it.
I loved it, dude. And one of the reasons I loved it the most, I think, is because if someone just looks at a picture of Jesse Flowers, they think hard ass. This dude, it will rip your head off and shit down your neck. Just looking at a picture of it. But once you get to know you, you know that is like 180 degrees from what you truly are. You're one of the sweetest, nicest guys I know. You're very encouraging to others. And the first time I saw you do that, I'm like, what the hell is this dude doing? And so I had to watch, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then I just started listening to you, and that's when I started. Actually when I started engaging you in social media and stuff, because I was like, this guy's a cool dude, man. He looks like he just got out of jail, but he's great.
No, never been on paper, thank God. Um, and that's a true blessing in itself. I don't believe in luck when it comes down to, tumultuous behavior, lucky that you didn't get caught or anything like that. I just think that opportunity hadn't found you yet.
Yeah,
There's a lot of guys I know, they're like, man, God was looking out for me. And I'm like, no, not really, bro, because I'm pretty sure that that's not the type of behavior that's going to be encouraged or protected. Um,
that's
I think that what it was is that you just hadn't had enough yet. And I think that you just needed to find enough. And you were fortunate, okay, that calamity didn't catch you first.
yeah.
And not the case for a lot of guys. We buried a lot of guys because they just couldn't get ahead of the problems that they had in front of them, or find a substitution for all the bad habits they'd instituted within their lives. And praise God and glory to Him for me that those things came into place when they did, and how they did, and how life is manifested as a result.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, dude. And you look fantastic, man. I mean, you are pumped. You're full because I know you've been eating now.
Oh yeah.
You just did a show. Tell us about the show. How'd that go? I saw the pics. You looked amazing. You looked really good. And the cool thing is I saw the pics from last year's show, and they were good. Matter of fact, I think I might have them, but if when we get done here, if you could send me pics from last year's show, I have some from this year's show, because it was amazing to me how much muscle you actually put on, man, in some areas. You
That
you
was
did
not fun.
you had a good off season.
Yeah, no, we really did. The team had a great offseason. My coach was incredible as always. Um, but my body definitely began to speak to me uh, in really, really evident ways that this is either going to be a make or break, okay, or it is going to be we just need to go ahead and kind of make some new decisions about what we want to do in lifting. When you get into your 40s and you're making the decision, okay, I have to put on 35 to 40 pounds and I don't want to put on 35 to 40 pounds. It's just going to be jiggling, all day
Yeah.
long. And I had to train hypertrophy in ways I've never done before. I incorporated FST7, and I had never done that
I love
before.
Hani. Hani's
Well,
my mentor.
and the dude, he not only does he know what he's talking about, he also understands how to present it. And I watched a lot of his videos. Now, my coach came up with our training method, exactly how we're going to train the groups, okay, as far as muscle to muscle. Gave me a lot of insight on it. But I'm like, you know what? This guy has also trained 23 Olympians. I want to give this FST7 a shot. And so
Yes.
I said, I'm going to give it 10 weeks because for me, I can't see the true results unless I'm looking over 10 weeks of befores and afters. And 10 weeks of hitting my quads the way that we had done, 10 weeks of hitting into my upper back the way that we had done, and 10 weeks into my biceps, I really started to feel the wear and tear of that, like big time. And I wasn't going to be maximizing on gear. At my age, my body just can't handle that. I've had
Yeah.
enough. I've had enough chemicals and junk in my body for so many years, illicit and otherwise, that I just decided I've got to do this the smartest way that I can. But at the same time, we have a goal to reach. And it was going to require me to put on within, exactly 1 year, almost 11 and a half pounds of muscle. And people are like, well, maybe that's not that much. I'm like, it's a lot more than you
That's a
think.
lot. That's a lot.
And it took a
5 pounds of muscle is a lot.
and I put on 11 and a half.
Yeah.
And so we hit stage last year. I hit stage very dry, very, very dry at
Yeah,
166.
you look great, man, last year. You look better this year, but you look great last
But,
year.
when I made weight at 176. I made middle weight. I made it by literally like right at 0.1 ounces. And I knew we were going to be cutting it close, but then we do the carb load and we do, everything that we can to get me completely full. And I hit the stage at 194 pounds.
Yeah.
And so, so I'm like, now I know what boxers like, I was like, okay, so that's when they say they weighed in at this and then they came into the ring at this, and I found out how it's possible. It's possible with 25 pounds of rice, you know.
Yeah.
Um, I didn't feel bloated. I didn't feel distended. I didn't feel sick to my stomach. I'd been training really hard on the posing. I'd made a lot of better connection with my muscle groups where I could go lower in my posing, and show off a lot more of the striation in my legs. But it was without a doubt the hardest prep I have ever put my body through. And, you and Emma and everybody from our group know that there was a 37-day window in there where we're trying to
Yeah.
figure what's going on. I'd come through some health scares, some cancer scares. And so I'm like, okay, do we continue to go or do we stop? And I'm like, well, no matter what, if it is what it is, then I need to make the smart decision and either do this the smartest way possible, listen to my coach or listen to the doctors and, hey, maybe we put this off. But until I had answers, just keep going. Okay, just
Yeah.
keep going. And 37 days later, we got those answers. And praise God, they weren't a negative, well, not a cancerous negative report, but, not a great report.
Yeah.
I decided, hey, we're just going to spearhead this. We're going to keep going on. We're going to do what we need to do. And we're going to do it to the best of our ability. And so it was maintaining that attitude, okay? Because an attitude can make or break you. Your gratitude can make or break you, okay? And so I have just entirely too much to be grateful for in my life. There are many men my age who do not do what we do. They can't find either, the right training coach, or they don't have the
Yeah.
right. But the basics are usually what it is that I know guys that will see the nostalgia associated with the stage, much like if you're watching a movie and you get really involved in the movie and it just kind of fades out after a while. And that's normal, right? Because
Yeah.
what we do is normal. It's not normal. And then I know the guys that really want to do it and they ask the best question on the planet. How do I go about it? Great. You just asked the right question,
Yeah.
You're wanting to know the process from beginning to end. And the first thing is first is, where are you at right now? What are your goals? The basics. And then honestly, line them up with the right coach. That's the big thing. Coaches aren't just going to hold you to accountability. They're going to hold you to the personal responsibility and the discipline that you need.
You said something good though, and I don't want to overshadow that. You said the right coach. because I interview clients and I know I'm not the right coach. And when I'm not, I try to find the right coach for them.
And I've done the
If
same.
I can't do it, I want to find someone who can. If it's not something that I feel comfortable with, like I know a lot about like strength and conditioning for like I got my start in this when I was I don't know, fresh out of high school, dude. I went right back to my high school to help work with the football team and strength and conditioning for athletic performance. But if you come to me and say, "Hey, I want to enter a powerlifting meet," I'm
Right,
not your guy. I can make you stronger. I can make you faster, but I can't get you through a powerlifting meet. I just don't know enough about it yet.
right.
But I know people that do, and
I
I
mean,
can get you to those people,
right. And
and
I've
that's
done this
important.
when I was coaching with my guys. Mine is basically towards lifestyle modification. Okay, and I know that there's a lot of stigma that comes with that, and it's just because of how much that word, lifestyle change is thrown out on social media and television and stuff like that. Because it's not a glamorous thing, to be honest with you. If you're going through a true lifestyle change, there's going to be a lot of fact facing and fact finding that you're going to have to do, so that not only are you modifying the behaviors, you're eliminating other ones. And that was a trial and error, by fire for me. And so, but I
For
maintained
all
it.
of us, right?
Yes. And so, what can you do? You can teach the maintained disciplines that you have. Why? Because they're effective. Okay,
Hmm.
effective for you. It may be effective for another. It may not for the next guy. But the fact is that it's a proven method for yourself, and so it's a truth. It's an absolute truth. Well, the other big portion of that is listening to what others are saying, what they're communicating to you. Okay. There are going to be guys that are not going to be able to throw, 3 plates on either side and get down and do an ass to grass squat. It's just not going to happen. Okay. Well, okay. So I can empathize with that. But then how do we, to moderate the workout and how do we change the workout so that you can be just as effective where you're at? Because the last thing that I would want to see a guy doing was getting up. Okay, I wasn't able to do the squat, so I'm done. Hey, no big deal. Guess what? There's like 35 different variations that we can hit all 4 of the muscle groups in the quad. So
Yeah.
let's try this. Let's try that. Like for me, quad development, the end all be all secret is the one that people hate probably the most. And it's my absolute favorite workout, and that's the Romanian split.
Oh, yeah. The Romanian split squat, those are fantastic, dude. I actually, when I was on the road, I used to do those with dumbbells and use the steps of my truck to do
Yeah,
them.
and I do the
Yeah,
same
I
thing.
love them.
I do the same thing at the gas plant. I would find like usually a lid, or I would find like a 6-inch 350 flange, and those things weigh about 35 to 50 pounds, depending on the material. And they've got the perfect eye loop for 2 fingers. Okay. And
Yeah.
so that I would do the exact same thing because, in my industry, there's going to be days you're not going to get to the gym. So guess what?
Yeah.
We dedicated to this, the plant just became your gym for the day.
You got to find a way. One of the things when you brought up FST7, so just to let you know, I know you know a little bit about this, but I just want to let everybody know that. So I have followed and studied Hani Rambod's lifting and training techniques since before the internet, literally. I'm talking, I used to read his articles in muscular development and what was the other one? There's MD and
Muscle and
uh,
fitness.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, 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 yeah. So I used to read his articles when he was writing. I've studied him for well over 20 years. I have followed Hani Rambod as he has trained different people. I mean, he trained Seth, got him
right.
his pro card. He's had, 23 Mr. Olympias that he's coached in all different divisions. And the FST7, man, when he first was coming out with that, when it was first really hitting the scene, was back when uh '09 is like the first time I really remember it. And some videos were surfacing. You could find them on the internet. And it was him training Jay Cutler and Phil Heath at the same time. And it was Jay Cutler coming back for his '09 when he came back to get the Olympia title. And That FST7 stuff is no joke. I mean, it will literally volumize muscle in a way that you have never experienced in your life. And for those that don't know, FST7 stands for fascia stretch training. It is designed to stretch the fascia so that the muscle has room to volumize. He looks for 3D muscle. And when I look at your frickin' shoulders right now, those are a set of shoulders that I have never seen on Jesse Flowers before. Ever.
Same thing with my chest. It's just my upper chest development has always been so hard because, I wouldn't go in for so much like volume training. Okay. Definitely, I really enjoy my hypertrophy training, but I was not doing it smart until I started utilizing the FST7. And so instead of grabbing 120s, 130s, whatever it is I could get up for, six clean reps, two wobble reps, what I did for this last prep is I moved down to 50s. And I can control those 50s all the way on the eccentric, all the way on the concentric. I could fully engage my upper chest. And you do that for all 7 sets. I'd give a 45-second break in between the 7 because I've got full control over this. I'm not panting after like I would with 120s. And literally by the end, I mean, I've never been able to roll where I could actually roll.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
know, dude. It,
that was
one of the best things, a lot of people don't realize this, but Hani Rambod has a master's degree in kinesiology,
right.
and kinesiology studies the chain and how things work, and how it's like we were doing chess today with my clients, and they're pretty green. This is going to be their first show. They're very green. And I just said, hey, put your hand out, palm down. Now turn it up. Do you feel your chest engage? Yes, you do. Why is that? That's kinesiology. That's how the whole chain works. If you go like that, your chest has no choice but to engage, right? So I'm like, if you're doing a dumbbell fly and you're ending here, why not end here where you can truly engage it,
Exactly.
right?
But
And it doesn't have to be heavy. That's the point I love that you just brought up. It's not about heavy. It's about getting that full stretch and that hard contraction in control, not throwing it around. I'm the same way because I consider myself more of a body lifter than a bodybuilder. I'm that dumbass that sometimes has to get his ego involved and go, yeah, I can lift that shit. But
not
you
me.
know what I'm saying, right? It's
Top of the
different. The workouts where I really control it, dude, they cause way more damage than the workouts where I'm like, yeah, I can lift that shit.
what you want, and here's the honest truth. And anybody who's been doing this for a length of time can tell you is that the amount of soreness you have the next day does not determine how great the workout was the day before.
Correct.
If I know the areas that I'm targeting, and I don't have to be to the point where I'm just like I can't lift my arms, I can't move my trap, or anything like that, because that's going to require more recovery. Okay.
Yes.
And I started listening to my body at this prep because I was going through a lot of ache and pain to grow. And so, hey, guess what? We're not going to work shoulders for 10 days. You tore them apart. And
Yeah.
so it's going to take 10 days. Another man that I started listening to was Tom Platz. Okay.
Yeah.
It comes down to rest, recovery, nutrition, and full engagement of muscle groups. Like, did you know he would only do squats, like his squat exercise twice a month? Because it took 2 full weeks for him to recover in those areas. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm in prep. I don't have the time, to really just give 6 workouts, 7 workouts to just my quads and call that good enough, right? But what can I do? I can listen to my body and I can listen, and I'm like, hey, your knees are still a little bit on the shoddy side. So, hey, we need to work on some knee, flexion and control. We need to find new ways of doing the squats. So I started doing elevated whenever I do my Smith squat
Yeah.
so I can leverage over the knee. But it's the science that came behind everything I was doing was just like, I just don't ego lift. I
Yeah.
listen to what my body is telling me. I listen to what my coach is telling me. And then I'm honest with him if I'm like, hey, dude, I did everything that you told me to. And some of it I did wrong. I did what you said to do. I just did it wrong. and now I've got a tweaked sciatic nerve. So I have to go with the Romanian splits because it's the only thing that will not hurt. And he's not a big fan of doing the isolateral, moves or anything like that.
Yeah,
It's just if you're working out by yourself, you can get hurt. Okay. When it comes to prep, I don't do a lot of free weight, especially if I'm doing,
of
bench.
course.
I just don't want to get hurt. But watching Nick Walker, one of my favorites to watch,
I
I
love
caught him.
Nick.
Oh, he's amazing. My God. The dude, there's
The
a reason that,
control. I like Nick because of the control, man.
yes, I was watching a clip and I went back to that clip probably 20 times as to how he was doing his split squats. And I was like, well, he's holding on to the chair. But here's
Yes.
it's like his hand is on it, but you can tell that there's freedom there, right?
Yeah.
Simply for the when I lose this, I can grab a hold of this and finish out the last three or four, right? And so, but I had to work myself up to that with, my sciatic being pinched. But guess what? I was able to get through every single one of my leg workouts, focus on the outer vastus, grow it effectively. And when I did the side by sides of the June show from Dallas of last year to the show that we did in Tulsa this year, and I'm looking at my legs, but there's a lot of chipping away I still need to do. There's a lot of striation I want to work on, but my size is done. I'm like, okay, we got it
Oh
there.
yeah. Your legs were way better. And I think I told you that actually. They're
Yeah,
they're way better this year. And you're right. I mean, it's just like I was talking to my guys today about back because they're at that point now where, we got the shows in November and we're getting ready to, it's men's physique. So we're talking,
you
Dorito.
got to,
It's a
you know,
Dorito chip, right? It's freaking out here to here.
want, oh, but here's the thing: you want the one in the middle of the bag. You don't want the one that's at the top of the bag.
Yeah, you want it
Uh,
perfect. So I was talking, it's like we're getting ready to alter your programming because we're going to be hitting shoulders a couple times a week and we're going to be hitting lats a couple times a week because I need you to get wider. I need them to get wider, right? And I was talking to him about the use of straps. And why do we use straps? It's not because we're trying to cheat.
right.
It's because when you can let go of the bar and just rest your fingers on there, your biceps, your forearms, everything disengages and you can really pull with the back. You can really pull with the lats. Same thing like you're talking about, right? When you're in that moment, sometimes I see people gripping the bar so hard, dude. It's like no wonder your biceps are so huge.
Right. Well, and not just wearing out the motor connection long before you actually get to the muscle group that you want to.
Correct.
I'm blessed genetically that back is an area 6 weeks and there it is.
Yeah,
And
your back looks great, dude. Your back
any
looks really good.
genetic, my dad's the same way. Anytime it's just okay. I know exactly what to do. And my thing is that if I know a guy that's wanting to put on the back, I'm going to give him three. Okay, these are the three that you're going to do. Not that you can do, you're going to do. Okay. And so this gentleman I was working with not too long ago, and he's like, well, what's the first one? I'm like, pull-ups. He's like, oh man, I can't
Yes.
pull up. I'm like, that's why you're doing it. If you can't do a pull-up, I don't want to hear about your lat pull downs. I don't want to hear about
I actually win a couple bucks in the gym with the high school kids because I'm a 260 pound, 51-year-old man. And I'm like, how much you give me if I can do a pull up? They're like, why you can't do a pull up? Okay, how much you gonna give me? I can do pull ups.
and you need to have variation in the grip you're going to use when you're doing it. But my gosh, if you can't pull your own body weight up, okay,
But I can do them always. This way, this way, this way. And
no,
I'm a big dude and old as shit.
I'm right now. I'm sitting like right at like 192.
Yeah,
And I don't have, I haven't gone off the rails after the show. I couldn't even finish the Cheesecake Factory that night.
yeah,
But I just was like, okay, so I know what my next goal is, but what are we doing now? I'm not so much worried about what's next. I'm worried, concerned about what's now. And what's now is what can I do with my own body weight? How many body squats can I actually perform? And how many of them
yeah.
can I before I stick a bar on my back. I started doing that too. How many pull-ups could I do assisted so I can learn new grips? Okay.
Yeah.
Usually about 30% of my body weight is counterweight until I can get to the point that I can fully engage. Because if I cannot fully engage that, my lats in a pull-up, why do I think I'm going to benefit anything at all if I've got my legs completely secured, my ass is straight down to the chair?
Yeah.
Okay, not relying on my lower half to engage the upper half, which is basically what you're doing is your leg weight is engaging your back. Okay.
Yeah.
So now that I've eliminated this, what am I going to do? Brag because I can take this strapped on weight that is, cable converted through a pulley and pull it down. No, I don't get the same engagement.
No, it's not.
None at all.
It's not.
And then I'll see guys that, I'm all about the bent over row, love doing the bent over row.
Love them.
Okay, it's for thickness. That is not going to give you width. Vertical is going to give you, horizontal is going to give you your thickness.
Correct.
So I've seen guys with backs, like, they're standing sideways and their backs are just, as thick as this, but then you get them like this, and they can't pull up.
Yeah.
Have no serratus, they have no lat, they have no, I don't understand. I'm like,
no, you're one of the few people that see me without a shirt on. And, I carry a little extra weight. I'm an old dude. I've had some injuries that I've been dealing with this last 15 months, but I'm wide and I'm thick. My back has gotten very wide, and I still to this day can do pull-ups, body weight, just straight pull-ups, man. And it makes all the difference in the world. That's my warm-up is pull-ups.
Yeah.
And I do them assisted to get blood in there, right? But I will do some unassisted just because there's no way that everything engages better than that. When all your body weight is hanging and you are just doing pull-ups. When it comes to back, for me, it is the best way to start.
One of the end-all be-alls, I swear. It's like I don't know if it was the caveman, the Neanderthal, or some dude off in the colonial period, trying to polish up his musket just on a tree branch. Whoever just was like, what, this might be effective, thank you. Because that connection that is made with just your natural body weight, beyond impressive. Because
not to mention, it's great to win money off high school kids. Just saying.
Absolutely, and it will also prep you for the hanging leg raise whenever you're ready to get to that point.
I love that. That is my favorite ab exercise is the hanging leg raise.
I do them
for the lower half of your abs. There's nothing better.
But I absolutely hate them, and it's because I usually just wait till the end of the workout, and I'm like, man, got some abs,
but they work, dude. Especially, I found, like, for myself. I don't know about you, but I found for myself, if when I bring my legs down, if I allow my back to arch and really let my abs stretch, and then rock back into it, oh man, it's a killer.
And the way that I do it is, okay, so like we do a front lat spread, right?
Yeah.
Okay. If you want to arch your back, okay, and you want to protrude your chest, and you want to create your taper, and you want to vacuum, and you want to do all of these things that are the provenance, of that look, but at the same time, you want to make it pop. So when I'm doing a hanging leg raise, my upper half is pretending as if we're doing a front lat spread, though my arms are here. Okay. So that's where my arch comes in. My spine is going to be correct. And then I engage that bottom core without engaging. I engage the two rectangles without the other six. And I pull my legs up. And I'll usually get about 12 clean. I'm talking like literally feels like I'm about to rip my bottom half clean. Before I go into, I'm like, I don't care if it's cheating. I'm going to knock out these last because I do 100. And after 100, it's like I was telling the owner of our gym, Toby over at Yoke, because I'm not competing. I told him I'm not. Right now, I just don't have the time to dedicate with my work schedule, school schedule, being with my kids. 18 months. So 18 months is just going to be me enjoying the gym. Okay.
Yeah.
And we're looking at the national show, possibly, Orlando. Next.
Did you qualify? While we're talking about that, what did you get?
So I got the best that I'd placed as far as like the overall was in the middle. Okay, so I did middleweight bodybuilding this year, and I took second. Okay.
Okay.
Now first in the 35 and over. I took second in the 40 and over. I did way better given the competition, which was incredible competition this year. The young man that won this year, we're doing weigh-ins, and as soon as I saw him stripping down to get weighed in, I was like, "There's the overall, there's the classic, there's the mid." And because you can see it, but the thing is, it doesn't discourage me when I see it.
Yeah.
I look, thank you for working hard enough to make this show worth it for the audience.
Yeah.
Truly. And he was such a nice guy backstage. And I had a great time with everybody. But no, I didn't qualify. And my goal, honestly, by the time we'd gone through all the CT scans, by the time we'd gone through all the labs, by the time we had done
Yeah.
everything we were trying to do, I wanted to just finish at my best. Because, and it's not an excuse. I got on stage. Okay. I did what I was supposed to do. I placed
And
well. Okay?
and you bettered yourself. You would have
Yes.
beat last year's Jesse Flowers.
Oh, absolutely. You know,
100%.
I have no resentments. I have no contentment against myself or my performance. And I don't what if because you can't. All right.
Yeah.
But there's in fact there was a 37-day period in there of my prep. You're not going to be in the gym near as much as you think, but you can maintain nutrition. You can maintain nutrition. Okay.
Not to mention the cortisol from the stress.
More, yeah, that was one of the big things, and my coach had noticed that in a lot of my check-in photos, and and I didn't tell you guys about it right away, and you guys are family. It was just I'm not going to go spitting news to people until I have some sort of answers. Okay,
I wouldn't either. Don't feel bad, dude. We sometimes, and it's stupid if I'm going to be honest, because the people that love you are going to be the people that are there for you no matter what. But it's something about a dude's ego. We just kind of shut down.
and it's a matter of do I really know what I'm talking about yet? Because
Yeah.
all I am is scared at this point, right?
Yeah.
That's it. I'm scared. Well, guess what? Cortisol levels through the roof because why I'm scared. Who
Yep.
has to know about this? My
Yeah.
coach. Yeah, when it comes to this, who has to know? And I told Jenny, the mother of my kids, I let
Yeah.
her know, hey, got my labs done, because I get labs done 4 times a year. Your
Yeah, me
bodybuilding
too.
is
And I'm not even bodybuilding, but I still get them done 4 times a year.
because we wouldn't have found this. We would not have
Yeah.
found issue had I not maintained that discipline of getting my labs done. And so, of course, with her being in the nursing industry for 15 plus years, I trust her, and we're great. So I was just like, okay, this is what's going on that I know of. Well, Mama Nurse plays Mama Nurse 5,000 questions.
Yeah.
Well, knowing each other for 20 years, I'm like, that I can't give you any more information than I have.
Yeah.
It was great to have her by my side through all of this, with her experience and her expertise.
Sure.
And just being able to understand that, hey, we can combat this thing as a family, okay? But we didn't want to tell the kids. Why? Well, there's nothing to tell yet. So that's why I didn't tell you. We didn't, I was like, I'm not going to tell the kids until we got down to the last round of the testing and things like that. And of course, our daughters want to know, hey, well, what's going on? Well, baby, this is what we know so far.
Yep.
Okay. This is what they're testing for. And they were checking for non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was the big thing. Which all it turned out to be towards the end, after every test had been done, was an overactive lymph node. Okay. So I have target lymph node. And so when my body's fighting infection or the pitfalls of going through a contest prep, when you just put your body through the ringer, sees the shock and the strain you're putting on the body. And so instead of all of them working, synchronized, one of them just took the brunt. Okay.
Yeah. Overproductive.
It was overproductive. And so, but it was a good thing we found it. It was a good thing that we were able to mitigate risk. We went and took every precaution necessary. The sucker is now probably the size of, a dried up, pea, but about the size of a marble. And so I'm thankful to have the people in my life that I do, and you, Zach, and Emma, and Heidi, and everybody, and Jeremy that just been right there. Like every time that I need to talk to somebody, Because I'm not one that's going to put those problems out on social media because not everybody's rooting for you,
I
you know.
hear you.
And some people, and this is the truth, and it's not just about this is life in general. There's going to be people who want to watch you fall simply because they have nothing to climb or stand for themselves.
100%. Dude, it's very similar in the reason why I reached out to y'all to begin with, because when I busted my foot and I knew I had a long road because I knew it was bad. It wasn't like I just broke my foot. I mean, I literally the second, third, fourth, and fifth metatarsal snapped off completely and went into my ankle. And while that happened, I also occurred a Liz Frank's dislocation where the bones in the ankle slid into my arch. So I knew this was not your normal break. And I knew that I was headed for a long road. And that's why that's why I reached out to you guys to begin with, because I needed a very few people to talk to. I didn't want to blast it out, but I needed some people to call me on my bullshit.
Well,
Because
and
it doesn't matter how crappy things are going, you got to have the right mindset. And sometimes people can help you get that right mindset.
and we're people, man. We're going to
Yeah,
get into our own heads. Why? Because
a
we're once
100%.
so working in recovery, working with others, working with my sponsor. I've learned to ask myself one question anytime that I really wonder if I'm on the fence about something, whether it's a thought, whether it's a pity party, whether it's whatever, is I ask myself, is this going to make my life any better? If I had to debate it, the answer is no.
Yeah,
Sometimes the answer is an immediate no. And what it can be is it can be thoughts. And I think it was Viktor Frankl that said that we suffer more than imagination than reality. And that's absolutely true because I spent no pity party or anything, and that's the ego part. Is I just didn't want to show a game face of
yeah,
like something really wrong with me. And I don't want but it's just, I did that as an addict, man. Give me your sympathy, give me your empathy, give me your pity, give me your remorse, feel bad for me,
yeah,
life, and all that other bullshit.
yeah.
So I'm a much more stable spiritual person now, much more stable mentally and physically. So I don't want to resort back to those old types of behaviors that bring about the old responses from people, right? So I kept it to myself. There's nothing wrong with that, okay? There's
No,
nothing wrong, but it's how you keep it to yourself, okay? It's how you're doing it. And I did about a 50-50 job. I'm human, right? But I would always have somebody to reach out to. I'd reach out to you guys. I would reach out to my sponsor. I would talk to my kid's mom. I would talk to my dad. And it's because I'm very selective about who I'm going to let know news, simply because I don't want to tell somebody something that is going to spread like a wildfire. And it's kind of like that. I like the campfire, I'm going to tell this and it's going to come around. And by the time it comes over here, it is Jesse's in the hospital dying
yeah,
yesterday.
Jesse's dying. Yeah.
And I was just
Not
like, that's insanity, you
not to
know?
mention, we really don't want I noticed this with myself. Like, I really don't want people saying, "Oh, dude, I'm so sorry this happened to you." You know what? Shit happens to everybody.
It does. And
I don't want you to I don't need you to say, "I'm so sorry this happened to you." What I need you to do is say, "Hey, you know what? I'm gonna pray that you can get better. And if you start acting like a dumbass, I'm gonna call you on your bullshit." That's what
right.
I need.
My big thing was is that and I don't like to use, large pronouns like all, okay, because I don't speak on behalf of,
Correct.
but there are a great majority of voices on social media, okay, a great majority that will take something that someone says, okay, and run with what they heard, not with what
Yes.
but with what was heard. And this is the one thing, and it's like I jumped off Facebook just because, well, Facebook's a piece of shit, and I'll just say that I absolutely cannot stand it. The only reason I got on it is because Action Slides required it as a form of social media. And the moment that I knew that this was going to part ways, it was literally 12:01 a.m. Bye.
Yeah.
Didn't want to be a part of it in the first place because of those reasons, right?
Yeah.
Because it is literally a weekly world newspaper and maybe it was just the people that I just subscribed to too many of their bullshit issues. So I canceled everyone, right? I got tired of everybody's issues. But the thing is that I didn't want to say to somebody, hey, I may have this when I don't even know what I may have. When
Yeah.
they're people, there are children, there are babies, there are men, there are women that actually have and are fighting for their lives. A lot of the things that I'm only thinking in my mind,
Yeah.
that's an injustice to them. That is a
Yeah,
dis-
no, I agree.
it's an anti-prayer to the people
Yeah.
who are going through these things. And so
No,
that's hush.
I agree, man, because I even look, you can I always try. Why do I end the show with "Don't forget to smile"? Because there's always something to smile about, and it could always be worse,
Exactly.
right?
It's
So, are
honest.
you going to focus on the bullshit or focus on what you know and what you can do? And that's what I choose to focus on. This is what I know today, and this is what I can do today. And I
Exactly.
can I can make my neighbor smile. I can make the lady at the grocery store smile. I can tell my wife how beautiful she is when she first gets out of bed and wakes up because I'm always up before her. And that's how I greet her. Good morning, beautiful. Because she is to me, and it doesn't matter what she looks like.
Be
Right?
married. You're going to be married like the Egyptians into death when you're greeting a woman like that. You know
Yeah.
what I'm There's going to be
And,
an
but
app.
I just think there's so much that we have to be grateful for, no matter how much bullshit we're dealing with, no matter how many problems. Even if you have cancer and you're freaking dying, there's a reason to be grateful. Be
Yes,
grateful
there.
for the days that you had, the people you met, the loved ones you knew. All those bring us fullness and happiness.
You know, it is just as easy to hold on to gratitude as it is to hold on to a grudge. It's all a matter of your perspective. Okay.
Correct.
And holding on to a grudge is not going to bring any kind of good profit, good fruition in your life whatsoever. And I know because I held on to so many grudges that they almost were immortalized in my mind to the point that, like, I justified grudges that didn't exist. Like, I had created this world within my own addicted alcoholic mind of why I don't like this person because of what they did to me here. And some of them
Yeah.
are justified behaviors, and then some are that I literally in my alcoholic brain made up. And I'm like,
Yeah.
no, happened. That really happened. It never happened, man. It never. Now, guess what you get to do, man? If you want to be free from this type of mentality, you need to address this. And you need to become self aware of this. And not only that, you need to forgive yourself for this. And then guess what? Here's the hard part. That person that you held that grudge to, you're going to have to go admit that. Now, this is me personally. And sometimes people are going to let you back into their lives. And then sometimes people aren't. And that's okay. That's okay. Why? Because you just don't stop moving forward day by day in the world. The only one that we have available to us, and the only body that we have available to us, okay, but the mind that we can forever constantly work on and alter and promote and get good at, and you don't have to live in that mental sickness that honestly, and I study a lot of this, thousands of hours a year. I'm this close to graduating.
Yeah.
And we perpetuate all this crap on ourselves more than anybody. We can take a trauma that is this big and we can reduce it, which is really bad. We can take a trauma this big and we can increase it, which is really bad.
Yeah.
Okay. What we do is we can recognize how this trauma is affecting every area in our lives outside of the actual traumatic event. And it's a matter of coping and coming to terms and talking with the right people, but it's self awareness.
Yes,
Man,
it 100% self-awareness and action, right? Because uh, I'm I'm a very forgiving human being. So I literally my son and I when he wasn't even 16 years old yet. We got home from the grocery store. I went to the door because my wife was home. I thought that the door was open. It was locked. My son had just got his learner's permit.
right.
I turned around to get the keys from him and had a gun in my chest. The guy told me to give him everything he wanted. And I carry. I have a
Right.
concealed carry permit. I turned my hip. I showed him my wallet that I was reaching for my wallet. And when I did, he pulled the trigger. Thank God he did not have one in the chamber because had he had one in the chamber, I would not be sitting here today. But during that process, I went from wallet to gun. because I carry in my back. And I pulled that weapon, and he shot me twice, once in the stomach, one grazed me. My 15-year-old son is right there, and my only thought was, I may die, but he will not. And I shot that young man. Now, he did not die. He is paralyzed from the waist down, but he did not die. My very first thought, once I realized that I was okay and my son was okay, was, is he okay? Right from the beginning. This is the guy who shot me. He's laying
Right.
in my front yard on my doorstep. When the paramedics came, I knew that I was okay. I said, you need to take care of him. I hurt him bad. Now, I could have gone to the district attorney because this young man lived, thank God. I could have gone to the district attorney and I could have said, put this young man in jail for the rest of his life. Because in Alabama, if you commit a crime with a weapon, it's a 20-year minimum sentence. This was a 19-year-old kid. I went to the district attorney and I said this. I said, listen, I do not want this event to be a turning point in this young man's life where he spends the next 20 years in jail. But I do want him to own up to what he did. And if he's willing to own up to what he did, I'm willing to go to the judge and ask for leniency. I'm willing to go to the judge and see if he can get youthful offender so that the sentencing guidelines can be placed with the
Right.
judge. But the ball is in his court. He needs to own it. And he did own it. And he apologized, and he was very sorry for the things that he did. Not to mention he's going to spend the rest of his life in a wheelchair.
Which,
But
is
I
kind of a
can, real quick, I can look at this two ways. I can look at it for me, this young kid shot me, or I can listen to what his mother told me. How good of a kid he was. No criminal record, nothing, never got into trouble. All of a sudden got in with a bad group of people,
happens.
started
Yeah.
making some bad choices, and wound up on my doorstep and made, for both of us, the worst decision in his life. But I learned two things, Jesse. I learned two things that day. The first thing I learned was that I'm a much different man now than I was 15 years ago. Because I was very forgiving and ready to forgive that man, where 15 years ago I'd have made sure that motherfucker was dead.
Right.
Right? But that was my first concern, was his health. The second thing I learned, and I learned this in a way that you can never learn it. I learned it in a way that you just can't learn these things without this type of experience. I learned the kind of man that my son was at 15 years old, as he took care of his mother, who was losing her shit because her husband was shot and laying on the ground. Not only that, but when I was laying there, I raised my son around guns. The gun was still in reach of the kid's hands, and I told my son, you go clear that. And he went and cleared it and got it away from him. At 15 years old, after he sees his dad laying on the ground, he took charge of the situation. When the detective showed up, he went right to the detective and said, my fingerprints are on this gun, and let me tell you why. At 15. So I learned the silver lining of that event that I am truly grateful for is I learned who my 15-year-old son, who is now 20, almost 21, was. So we can focus on some dumbass shot me while I was at my porch. Or we can
Right.
focus on the silver lining and what did we learn?
Your
What were
son's
the lessons learned there?
Yeah, well, you got to see a broader side of your son's character, and some of
100%.
that could be a direct result of learning and listening from you. And another one of it could just be that there are things we're going to learn on our own. Okay, and what I think your son understood there was justice. Okay, now justice, people misconstrue this so much. Okay, justice is not a hammer that's coming down. Okay, but justice is balance. Okay, so when you're talking about like godly justice, that would be me going towards my father, and he's going to chastise, which is also not a bad term, and then offer correction.
Yep.
That's justice. And so what I believe could have happened is your son saw this is the consequence of action, right? And so now what I have to do is take the responsibility of my part in this, like you said, the gun handling, and my responsibility of clearing this because I understand how to do this. My responsibility of my father is down right now and taking care of my mother. And what that is that you are looking at the whole picture and you're understanding consequence, okay? Because he could have easily gone over there, kicked and moved the gun, whatever, but he took responsibility of it like a man, right? And he
Yeah.
on one of those where you can really balance calamity and serenity. Really
Yeah.
bad if it happened, but
And
I can
for
take.
me, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, no,
Finish your thought. I was just going to say, for me, I'm almost grateful for the situation because I learned something about him that I could have not learned in any other way,
right.
you
And
know?
it,
And those are the most important people in my life, my children, my
right.
grandchildren. So to see that from my baby, he's my oldest daughter's 33. My daughters I have three daughters. They're 33, 30, 27. My son, I think it was an accident, but because he came 7 years later, he's going to be 21 this year. So he's the baby of the brood. But I got to learn so much about him, and for that I'm grateful.
You know, Jenny, mother of my kids, and
Yeah,
just one of the best people in the world. We're finally at the age, and I've told you guys this, and I showed you pictures. Logan is heading off, and he's
yeah,
going to Central Florida University, University of Central Florida, and we're at that age now that we're like, how much responsibility did we impart? How much did they grow for themselves? Okay. And my
yeah,
son, financial, I'm so grateful to have the opportunity, even through horrible addictive behaviors. And I'll be honest, just being a piece of shit dad at the time, finances were about the only thing that I did right,
yeah.
And I patted myself on the back for that. Like I could do all this, I could take all these pills, and I could drink all this, and I could be this asshole. Why? Because there's a roof over, and we go on vacations, and there's never a fridge without food, and the bills are always paid, and blah blah blah. And I would just sit there, and I'd put myself on this pedestal of just BS, okay, so that I could fulfill the righteousness that was my addiction, right? Well, here's the thing: is that he took good from bad. Because you can harvest good fruit from bad seeds that are planted, right? All you got to do is move the garden. And
Yeah.
my son is incredible with his finances and his saving, And now that I'm more in tune, and I'm sober minded, I'm able to, and I've studied some new things. I'm like, hey, son, there's other ways you can save a little bit of money, and there's other things you could do while you're in school. And, you could pick up, a little bit of this entrepreneur work as a photographer. And it opens really good, healthy communication and stuff. But what I get to see is I get to see responsibility first and foremost. Both of my kids, both of them work. Both of them
Yeah.
they show up late to work. Even as an alcoholic, I was never late to work. Why? Because I don't want you to find out what I'm doing, man. If you repeat some good stuff over and over again, they don't ask, you know. And so I did. But here's the thing: is that these kids got to see examples like we have a home. Okay, wasn't a very healthy home at the time. Because now I'm in the same home and I get to visit my kids every weekend. Every other weekend, I'm able to come down and I get to spend quality co-parenting time with their mother, and I get to see my parents. And these are things I
Yeah.
get to. I don't have to do, right? I
Yeah.
get to. Why? Because the quality of my life has changed. I'll be damned if I don't want my children to have the greatest quality of life possible to the extent that they'll allow me in, because there's still a lot of healing that takes place in every family,
Of
right?
course. Of course.
But
100%.
it's incredible what's going on in life today. My son will be the first, well, when he gets his associates, he'll be the first male on my dad's side of the family to graduate college. Okay. When he gets his associates. Next year, I'll be the first male to graduate with a bachelor's. My son will be graduating with a bachelor's the year after. My daughter will be
Yeah.
graduating the year after. And so you can actually see the tides turning and reverse of generational curse occurring right in front of me.
Yeah.
But it took owning it, like you said with that other young man, it took owning it, right? I own every single piece of everything that I've done. And anything that has had a victorious outcome, I don't own that. I give that glory to God. I give that credit to God. All I am is a vessel with an opportunity, nothing more. Okay. Well, if I'm a vessel for an opportunity in bodybuilding, if I can fine tune my body and I can put myself through the ringer and I can discipline myself to conditions that most people are never going to do, okay, that is because the Lord has fine tuned my spirit, my body, and my mind. So guess what? They fall in sync and I'm able to enjoy it. The same
Yeah.
thing to understanding how to recover my family, understanding how to recover trust, understanding how to recover true love, right? Owning it, allowing that spiritual transformation, that mental transformation to come in, accepting and coming to terms with my actions, not just making apologies, but making physical and lifelong amends to the people that I want to give them to, I need to give them to, they deserve it. And then here's the thing, all we have is time. That is the only thing that we have on this entire planet Earth. And it's moment by moment, right? So if it takes 15, 20, 30 years for things to look better than they ever did before, I'm not exactly waiting, I'm living it.
Yeah.
Because that's all I have, right? All I really have is a daily reprieve contingent on the maintenance of my spiritual condition. And the key word there is daily. Okay, day by day by day by day. Well, I've heard from other guys like, man, my son said he won't talk to me for another 10 years. Well, guess what? You're going to, God willing that you don't use and tomorrow exists. You got 10 years anyway.
You
So
can really only control today.
yeah, why don't you just make it happen? 10 years, if
Yeah.
10 years here, then just do it. Just do it.
Yes.
What
100%.
like with
That's
guys that you got
no,
guys that want to
keep
compete.
going.
They,
Yeah.
they they competing. They look, and it's fun to compete. I convinced myself of that about week 16. Okay, after 16, this is fun, right? 90 minutes a day on stairs is fun. But
Yeah.
the thing is that it's no different than when you put your hand to the grind at work or school or anything that you're doing, and you see the outcome. That's what makes it worth all of it. Is I finished exactly what I started. And I want to do better. And I've disciplined so many habits in doing this, my eating and my sleeping and mental state, because when you're going through that, calorie cut after calorie cut, it can be pretty tumultuous mentally. And so what it is, it's understanding how to train the mind and the body and understanding how to find balance and understanding how to carry, inner peace. And so this is what I want. If this is the trophy, all of this is the trophy. Okay, the stage is just a byproduct. That's all it is, because it's a one-time event, right? The byproduct of all of these habits that I've just implemented in my life. So if I need to focus on this one thing in order to maintain consistent focus on all of these things, so be it. I'll do it.
100%. And Jesse, I'm going to tell you right now, I think that's the perfect place to end because basically we spent that last little bit saying, own your bullshit,
Own it.
own it.
Nobody
But
else.
hey, no, you're right. What were you saying? Nobody else what?
Nobody else is going to carry it for you.
No,
Nobody.
you gotta own your own stuff. And we're grateful to have you. Thanks so much for coming on. I look forward. I talked to Jesse earlier. We're gonna do a coach's corner where we just really kind of dial in and focus more on the mental aspect of change and how it affects you, and not just when you're making a change physically or for a physical reason, but also
Right.
for other mental and reasons as well. This change is difficult, and Jesse spent, like you said, the last 34 months?
34 months of school, yeah.
34 months of school working on this stuff, and I think he can really drop some knowledge on us. But with that, thank you so much for watching, listening. Please continue to like and subscribe. Remember, get out there and work hard, peoples. And what do I like to say? Don't
Don't
forget to smile.
go ahead.
That's the way, baby. Y'all have a great day. Thanks. All right, we're out. Thanks so much for watching or listening. Remember, don't forget to like and subscribe. You can find us on Facebook at Work Hard Peoples LLC or Instagram at Work Hard Peoples LLC. You can also find us on our website at workhardpeoples.com. Have a great day or night. Don't forget to smile.